When you awaken in the morning, before the mind rushes in with its familiar inventory of worries, responsibilities, and unfinished business, there is a quiet moment available to you. It is subtle. It is easily overlooked. Yet in that moment lives a power that has shaped galaxies, breathed life into forests, and guided your heart through every chapter of your existence. This power does not shout, it whispers. And the language it speaks most fluently is gratitude. Gratitude is not a polite response to life when things go your way. It is a state of alignment with the intelligence that creates and sustains all things. It is a way of remembering who you really are before the world taught you to measure yourself by achievement, comparison, and fear. When you begin your day with gratitude, you are not trying to change reality. You are changing your relationship with reality. And that is where miracles quietly begin. As you sit with these words, allow yourself to soften. Let the breath move naturally in and out of your body. Notice that you are alive, not conceptually, not philosophically, but actually alive in this moment. Your heart is beating without your permission. Your lungs are breathing without effort. Your body knows how to exist. Your soul knows how to guide. This alone is worthy of gratitude. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to deserve it. Existence itself is a gift that has already been given. Gratitude is the decision to see life not as a series of problems to be solved, but as a field of experiences meant to awaken you. When you say, "I am grateful," you are affirming trust in the flow of life. You are declaring that you are willing to release the illusion of control and step into cooperation with something far wiser than the egoic mind. The ego says, "I will be grateful when everything works out." The soul says, "Everything works out when I am grateful." There is a profound shift that occurs when you stop postponing peace. When you no longer say, "I will be calm when this situation changes," or "I will be happy when I arrive somewhere else." Gratitude brings you home to now. And now is the only place where life is actually happening. The past is a memory, the future is a projection, but this moment is alive, responsive, and infinitely creative. As you begin your day, gently affirm within yourself that everything is working out for you. Not because you can predict the outcome, but because you trust the process. Trust does not mean you understand the path. It means you are willing to walk it without resistance. Resistance is the belief that life should be different from what it is. Gratitude dissolves resistance by reminding you that life is not happening to you, but through you. You are not here to battle the world. You are here to align with it. When you align your thoughts with appreciation, your nervous system relaxes, your perception widens, and your intuition becomes clearer. Gratitude is not passive. It is an active frequency. It reorganizes the mind. It softens the heart. It restores harmony between your inner world and the outer experience. Say to yourself, quietly or aloud, "I am grateful for this day," not because you know what it will bring, but because you trust that whatever it brings is part of your unfolding. The universe does not make mistakes. It responds to consciousness. And consciousness that is rooted in gratitude attracts experiences that reflect that inner state. Everything works out for you not because life is always comfortable, but because life is always instructive. Sometimes what works out looks like a door opening. Sometimes it looks like a door closing. The ego resists endings, but the soul understands transitions. Gratitude allows you to bless both. It frees you from the exhausting habit of labeling experiences as good or bad and invites you into a deeper wisdom where everything is recognized as purposeful. When challenges arise, gratitude does not deny them. It contextualizes them. It reminds you that you have survived every difficult moment you have ever faced. It reminds you that strength is not something you acquire in the absence of struggle, but something you discover in the presence of it. Gratitude says, "I trust myself to meet this moment." And that trust is transformative. There is an intelligence moving through you that knows exactly how to heal, how to grow, and how to evolve. When you are grateful, you step out of the way of that intelligence. You stop micromanaging life. You stop insisting that things unfold according to your limited understanding. You allow yourself to be guided. And guidance does not always come as clarity. Often it comes as a feeling of peace in uncertainty. Everything works out for you when you stop arguing with reality. When you release the need to be right, to be validated, to be ahead. Gratitude gently loosens the grip of the ego and reminds you that your worth is not negotiable. You are enough before you accomplished anything. You will be enough regardless of how today unfolds. Gratitude anchors you in that truth. As you move through your morning, notice how gratitude shifts your energy. It changes the way you listen. It changes the way you speak. It changes the way you move through space. People can feel it. Situation will respond to it. Not because you are trying to manipulate outcomes, but because you are aligned with the same creative force that animates all life. Gratitude is a form of prayer without words. It is an acknowledgement that you are supported, even when you cannot see how. It is the recognition that you are not alone in your journey, that there is an unseen order beneath the surface of appearances. When you trust this order, fear loses its authority, anxiety dissolves, and a quiet confidence takes its place. Everything works out for you when you remember that you are not your thoughts. Thoughts are habits of attention, not statements of truth. Gratitude gently redirects attention away from scarcity and toward abundance. Not the abundance of possessions, but the abundance of presence, breath, awareness, and possibility. From that space, inspired action naturally arises. You do not have to force positivity. Forced positivity is just another form of resistance. Gratitude is different. It is honest. It includes the full spectrum of experience and chooses appreciation anyway. It says, even this has something to teach me. And in that openness, healing occurs. When you begin your day with gratitude, you are setting an intention for how you wish to experience life. You are choosing to see beyond appearances and trust the deeper movement of things. You are affirming that your inner state matters more than external circumstances. And that affirmation is powerful. Everything works out for you because you are part of something infinitely intelligent and benevolent. You are not separate from it. You are an expression of it. Gratitude is simply the act of remembering that truth, and remembrance is the beginning of awakening. So as this day unfolds, carry gratitude with you, not as a technique, but as a way of being. Let it guide your thoughts, soften your reactions, and open your heart. When you forget, gently return. There is no failure here, only practice. Only remembering again and again. Everything works out for you because you are willing to trust life rather than fight it. Because you are willing to meet each moment with appreciation rather than fear. Because you are aligned with your higher self, which has never doubted your worth or your path. Begin again, here and now, with gratitude, and watch how life responds. Not with spectacle, but with a quiet unfolding that feels unmistakably right. Stay with this awareness as the day continues to breathe itself through you, because gratitude is not something you finish practicing once the morning ends. It is a way of walking through time without being owned by it. Each moment offers you a choice to contract into judgment or to expand into appreciation. And every time you choose appreciation, even softly, even imperfectly, you step back into alignment with the truth of who you are. Notice how life begins to feel less like a series of demands and more like a dialogue. Gratitude turns existence into a conversation rather than a confrontation. You are no longer pushing against what is. You are listening for what is being asked of you. This listening is subtle. It does not always arrive as words or answers. Sometimes it arrives as a calm knowing, a gentle nudge, or a quiet sense that you are exactly where you need to be. When the mind tries to pull you back into old stories of lack or fear, greet those thoughts with kindness rather than resistance. Resistance gives them strength. Gratitude dissolves them. You can simply say, thank you for trying to protect me, but I choose trust. And in that choice, the nervous system settles, the body relaxes, and the soul resumes its natural leadership. Everything works out for you when you stop demanding that life prove itself before you feel safe. Gratitude is the willingness to feel safe now without guarantees. It is a declaration that peace is an inside job, and from that peace, clarity emerges. Decisions become simpler. You begin to sense what aligns and what does not through force, but through feeling. There is a rhythm to life that you cannot hear when you are rushing or resisting. Gratitude slows you down just enough to feel that rhythm again. It reminds you that growth does not happen through pressure, but through allowance. Seeds do not strain to become trees. They trust the process of light, soil, and time. You are no different. When you trust, you grow naturally. As situations unfold today, some may meet your preferences and some may challenge them. Gratitude does not mean you pretend everything is pleasant. It means you remain present and open regardless. Presence is where your power lives. not in controlling outcomes, but in responding consciously. Gratitude keeps you rooted in that presence. Everything works out for you because every experience is refining your awareness. Even moments of discomfort are shaping you, teaching you where you still hold resistance and where you are ready to release. Gratitude turns lessons into blessings, not by changing their form, but by changing your relationship to them. You may notice that when you are grateful, time feels different. The urgency softens. The need to rush dissolves. You become less concerned with getting somewhere else and more interested in fully inhabiting where you are. This is not complacency. This is mastery. It is the understanding that fulfillment is not found in the future, but revealed in the depth of your attention now. Gratitude also reconnects you to others in a profound way. When you are appreciative, you stop seeing people as obstacles or tools for your validation. You begin to see them as fellow travelers, each carrying their own fears, hopes, and lessons. Compassion naturally arises, and compassion lightens the heart. Everything works out for you when you remember that love is the underlying force of the universe. Fear is loud, but it is not powerful. Love is quiet, steady, and infinitely creative. Gratitude aligns you with love because it acknowledges the good that already exists, even when it is not obvious. You are not here to perfect yourself. You are here to remember yourself. Gratitude is remembrance. It brings you back to the awareness that you are already whole, already guided, already supported. From that knowing, effort becomes inspired rather than forced. As the day moves forward, let gratitude be the lens through which you interpret experience. Not rigidly, not dogmatically, but gently. When something unexpected happens, pause and ask, what is this showing me? That question opens space. And in space, wisdom enters. Everything works out for you because you are willing to surrender the illusion that you must control everything to be okay. Surrender is not giving up. It is giving over. It is trusting that life knows what it is doing, even when the mind does not. Carry this with you now. Let gratitude become the background music of your day, subtle but steady. You will find that when gratitude is present, fear cannot dominate, resentment cannot take root, and joy no longer feels conditional. And when the day begins to close, you may realize that nothing extraordinary needed to happen for it to feel meaningful. The meaning was always there, waiting for your attention. Gratitude revealed it. Everything works out for you because you are aligned with the flow of life itself. And life, when met with trust and appreciation, always knows how to take care of its own. There is a deeper layer to gratitude that reveals itself when you stop using it as a response and begin living it as an identity. At this level, gratitude is no longer something you do when circumstances are favorable. It becomes the inner climate from which you experience everything. You begin to sense that life is not testing you, punishing you, or withholding from you. Life is shaping you. And when you understand this, the need to struggle softens into a willingness to participate. You start to feel that gentle intelligence moving through even the smallest details of your day. A pause in conversation that allows insight to rise. A delay that protects you from what you cannot yet see. An unexpected meeting that shifts your perspective just enough to redirect your path. Gratitude sharpens your awareness of these subtleties. It teaches you to notice without grasping, to receive without demanding, to trust without knowing how. The mind often wants certainty, but the soul thrives on faith. Not blind belief, but a quiet confidence that you are being carried by something larger than your plans. Gratitude nourishes this confidence. It loosens the grip of the ego, which believes safety comes from control, and gently reminds you that real security comes from alignment. When you are aligned, you do not need guarantees. You feel supported from within. As you move through life in this state, you may notice that your reactions begin to change. Situations that once triggered frustration or fear no longer have the same hold on you. Not because you have numbed yourself, but because you have expanded beyond them. Gratitude creates space between stimulus and response. In that space, you rediscover your freedom. Freedom does not mean the absence of challenges. It means the absence of inner resistance. When you are grateful, you meet life openly rather than defensively. You stop asking, why is this happening to me, and begin asking, how is this serving my awakening? That question alone transforms the quality of your experience. It turns obstacles into invitations and uncertainty into exploration. There is a quiet joy that emerges when you stop measuring your life against expectations and start honoring it as it is. This joy is not excitement. It is not dependent on external success. It is a deep sense of rightness that comes from being present with yourself without judgment. Gratitude anchors you in that presence. It says, this moment is enough. And in doing so, it frees you from the endless pursuit of more. You may also begin to notice how gratitude reshapes your sense of time. The future no longer feels like something you must race toward, and the past loses its power to define you. You recognize that who you are is not a product of what happened before, but an expression of what you choose now. Gratitude brings you back to this choice again and again. Everything works out for you because you are learning to trust the unfolding rather than forcing the outcome. When you stop pushing against life, life begins to move with you. Doors open not because you demand them to, but because you are ready to walk through. Paths reveal themselves, not because you planned every step, but because you listened. Gratitude also deepens your connection to yourself. You begin to appreciate your own resilience, your sensitivity, your capacity to grow. You stop criticizing yourself for not being further along and start honoring how far you have already come. This self-appreciation is not arrogance. It is respect for the journey your soul has chosen. As this respect grows, so does patience. You no longer rush your healing or compare your progress to others. You understand that every soul moves at its own pace, guided by its own wisdom. Gratitude allows you to rest in that understanding without anxiety. There is a quiet power in trusting that you are exactly where you need to be, not because everything is perfect, but because this moment contains what you need for the next step. Gratitude reveals that truth not as an idea, but as a felt experience. You sense it in the body. You feel it in the breath. You recognize it as a calm steadiness beneath the surface of change. And from this steadiness, life continues to unfold in ways that feel increasingly meaningful. Not always easier, but clearer. Not always predictable, but purposeful. Gratitude does not promise comfort. It offers clarity, and clarity is what allows you to move forward without fear. So remain open, remain receptive. Let gratitude continue to guide you, not as a practice you must remember to do, but as a natural expression of who you are becoming. With each moment of appreciation, you align more deeply with your higher self. And from that alignment, life responds with a quiet assurance that everything in its own time and way is indeed working out for you. There comes a moment, often unnoticed, when gratitude stops feeling like something you are cultivating and begins to feel like something that is carrying you. You realize you are no longer reminding yourself to trust life. You are resting inside that trust. The effort drops away, the inner dialogue softens, and in that softening, a deeper intelligence takes the lead. This is the intelligence that has been guiding you long before you had language for it, long before you learned to doubt yourself, long before you mistook anxiety for preparation and control for safety. In this space, you begin to sense that your life is not a problem to be fixed, but a mystery to be lived. Gratitude keeps you intimate with that mystery. It invites you to stay curious rather than fearful, receptive rather than rigid. You no longer rush to label experiences or rush past moments of stillness. You allow life to reveal itself at its own pace, trusting that nothing meaningful is ever truly delayed. You may notice that when gratitude becomes your inner posture, the world seems to respond differently, not because circumstances instantly change, but because your perception does. What once felt like chaos now feels like movement. What once felt like loss now feels like redirection. What once felt like uncertainty now carries a quiet sense of possibility. Gratitude does not blind you to difficulty. It gives you the eyes to see beyond it. There is a profound humility that arises here, and with it, a deep peace. You stop insisting that life conform to your preferences, and instead, you begin to cooperate with its wisdom. This cooperation is not passive. It is alive, attentive, and responsive. You take action when action is called for, and you wait when waiting is required. Gratitude sharpens your discernment. It helps you feel the difference between effort that is aligned and effort that is driven by fear. As this discernment grows, so does your compassion for yourself. You stop punishing yourself for moments of doubt or hesitation. You understand that awakening is not a straight line, but a gentle spiral of remembering. Gratitude allows you to meet yourself exactly where you are, without shame, without impatience. And in that meeting, healing unfolds naturally. You begin to experience a subtle but powerful shift in identity. You no longer see yourself primarily as a personality navigating external events. You begin to recognize yourself as awareness itself, witnessing experience without being consumed by it. Gratitude anchors you in this awareness. It reminds you that you are not defined by what passes through you, but by the consciousness that observes it all. From this vantage point, life feels less heavy. You are still engaged, still caring, still participating fully, but without the exhausting need to control every outcome. You trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you, and what misses you was never meant to stay. This trust does not make you passive, it makes you peaceful. Gratitude also refines your sense of purpose. You stop searching for meaning as something outside of you, something to be achieved later, somewhere else. You begin to feel that meaning is generated moment by moment through presence, kindness, and awareness. You realize that how you show up matters more than where you end up. Gratitude keeps you anchored in this truth. As the emotional arc of your day continues to unfold, you may find yourself more willing to pause, to breathe, to feel. You are less inclined to numb discomfort or rush past vulnerability. Gratitude gives you the courage to stay open, and openness is where transformation occurs, not through force, but through allowing. There is a quiet elegance to living this way. You are no longer fighting the current of life, nor are you floating aimlessly. You are moving with intention, guided by an inner compass that grows clearer with each moment of appreciation. Gratitude fine-tunes that compass. It keeps you oriented toward what is real, what is enduring, what is true. And so the rhythm continues, breath by breath, moment by moment. Gratitude weaving itself into your thoughts, your movements, your choices. You may not always notice it, but you will feel its effects. A steadier heart, a calmer mind, a deeper trust in the unfolding of your life. Everything works out for you not as a dramatic declaration, but as a lived experience. A quiet knowing that no matter what arises, you are equipped to meet it. That you are supported in ways both seen and unseen. That you are part of a larger harmony that does not rush, does not panic, and does not fail. Stay here. Stay present. Let gratitude continue to shape you from the inside out. And as it does, you will find that life, in all its complexity and beauty, meets you with the same openness you offer it. As this inner alignment deepens, you may begin to sense that gratitude is quietly dissolving old tensions you once carried without question. Not by revisiting them or analyzing them, but by gently loosening their grip, you realize that much of what once felt heavy was never meant to be carried indefinitely. It was meant to be noticed, learned from, and released. Gratitude creates the inner conditions for that release. It does not force forgetting, it invites freedom. You begin to experience a softer relationship with uncertainty. What once felt like a threat now feels like an open field. You no longer demand to know how everything will unfold in order to move forward. You move because movement itself feels natural again. Gratitude restores this naturalness. It brings you back into rhythm with life, where intuition replaces anxiety and trust replaces tension. In this rhythm, you may notice that your desires begin to change. The need to prove, to compete, to accumulate begins to lose its urgency. Not because you stop caring, but because you start caring more deeply about what actually nourishes you. Gratitude clarifies values. It helps you recognize the difference between what satisfies the ego and what sustains the soul. There is also a growing awareness that you are not separate from the world around you. The same intelligence that moves your breath moves the wind through trees and the tides across oceans. Gratitude reconnects you to this unity, not as an abstract idea, but as a lived experience. You feel less alone, even in silence. You sense companionship and stillness. From this place, forgiveness begins to emerge naturally, not as a moral obligation, but as a practical decision to release yourself from the weight of resentment. Gratitude reveals how much energy has been tied up in holding on to old narratives. When you let them go, that energy becomes available for creativity, for presence, for joy. Forgiveness becomes less about others and more about honoring your own peace. You may also find that gratitude softens your relationship with effort. You still act, still plan, still participate fully in life, but without the constant pressure to make things happen. Action becomes an expression of alignment rather than urgency. You do what feels right, when it feels right, and trust that timing is not something you must manage. Gratitude keeps you attuned to this timing. As this way of being continues to unfold, a quiet confidence settles in, not the loud confidence of certainty, but the steady confidence of trust. You begin to sense that no experience is wasted, no moment is meaningless, even pauses have purpose. Even silence has something to say. Gratitude teaches you to listen. You also become more present to beauty in ordinary moments, the way light moves across a room, the sound of your own breath, the simplicity of being here, now. Gratitude sharpens perception. It reveals richness where the mind once saw only routine. Life feels fuller, not because more is happening, but because you are more available to what is happening. And in this availability, you begin to feel a deeper sense of belonging, not belonging to a group or an idea, but belonging to life itself. You are no longer standing apart, observing from a distance. You are participating fully with an open heart and a grounded presence. Gratitude anchors you in this participation. Everything continues to work out for you, not as a promise of ease, but as a reassurance of meaning. You trust that whatever arises is contributing to your growth, your understanding, your awakening. You no longer measure your life by outcomes alone, but by the quality of awareness you bring to each moment. So you keep moving forward, not with haste, but with intention, not with fear, but with openness. Gratitude becomes less something you remember to practice and more something that lives quietly beneath your thoughts, guiding you without effort. And as the flow continues, you sense that this way of being is not temporary. It is not a phase or a mood. It is a remembering, a return to a natural state of trust, presence, and appreciation that has always been available to you. Remain here in this unfolding. Let the rhythm carry you. Let gratitude continue to reveal itself in deeper and subtler ways. And trust that as you stay aligned with this inner knowing, life will continue to meet you with the same gentle intelligence that has been guiding you all along. Have you ever paused in the quiet of the morning and felt the hum of possibility around you, as if the universe itself were leaning in to whisper a secret that has always been yours? It is here, in these silent, sacred moments, that you come face to face with the truth of who you are, a being of infinite potential, a vessel of divine intelligence, an essence that is already enough. And yet, so many of us live as though the impossible is an impenetrable wall, as though the dreams that stir our hearts are fantasies too distant to ever touch. But the universe does not operate in the confines of what we see. It moves in the language of vibration, intention, and faith. And here is the first truth. What you hold in your mind and in your heart every single day shapes the very fabric of your reality. When you make positivity your routine, when you choose to greet each day with expectation instead of doubt, something remarkable begins to unfold. The impossible, once distant and abstract, starts to lean toward you, drawn by the consistency of your belief. This is not magic in the childish sense, but a law as ancient as the stars, that energy follows attention, that what you radiate, you will experience. The thoughts you nurture, the beliefs you cultivate, they are the architects of the life you inhabit. Every worry that lingers, every fear that you entertain builds walls around your soul. But every act of gratitude, every smile given freely, every thought of hope chisels open a path to the extraordinary. Consider for a moment the river. A river does not force its way through the mountains, it flows, persistently, patiently, around rocks and obstacles, wearing them down not through struggle, but through consistency. And yet, the river reaches the ocean, seemingly impossible, yet inevitable, because it follows the path of least resistance with unwavering motion. Your mind is the river, your faith is the current. The impossible is simply the ocean waiting to meet you. When you align your daily habits, your routine, with positivity, you become the river that cannot be stopped. You become the presence that the universe cannot ignore. And here is the second truth. The unseen is always working in your favor. You do not have to understand how. You do not have to chart every detail. The seeds you plant in thought, intention, and belief will germinate in ways far beyond the comprehension of your ego. There is a divine intelligence in the cosmos, a consciousness that orchestrates reality with precision and care. You are a co-creator in this dance, and yet you need not wrestle with control. Trusting the unseen is not passive, it is active faith, a daily ritual of surrender coupled with purpose. When you act from alignment rather than fear, doors open that you never even knew existed. Opportunities appear as if summoned, not by your struggle, but by the resonance you maintain within. Imagine the gardener tending to a fragile seedling. She does not yank it from the soil to see if it is growing, nor does she curse the sun for not moving faster. She waters it, nurtures it, gives it light, and trusts the process. So too must you treat your dreams, your desires, the impossible things stirring in your soul. Nurture them daily. Speak to them kindly. Let belief be the water, gratitude the sunlight, and persistence the soil that allows them to grow. The universe does not hurry, yet it accomplishes all things perfectly. And when your daily routine mirrors this divine patience, miracles emerge with astonishing regularity. You see, faith is a muscle. It grows stronger each time you choose to look beyond the circumstances, to see not with the eyes of limitation, but with the vision of possibility. Each morning, when you decide to speak words of encouragement to yourself instead of doubt, when you consciously release fear and embrace trust, you are strengthening this muscle. And as it grows, you discover that the impossible begins to bend, shift, and eventually align with the rhythm of your inner world. This is why your daily routine matters. Because consistency and positivity is not a small thing. It is the lever that moves the entire universe. Do not underestimate the power of a single thought held long enough, a single intention repeated daily, a single act of courage performed with love. History is filled with examples of what appeared impossible to the human eye. Great works of art, scientific breakthroughs, social transformations, all born from the belief of one soul who refused to accept limitation. And if it was possible for them, why not for you? The difference is rarely circumstance. It is the unwavering commitment to the belief that what you desire is not a distant fantasy, but a living reality waiting for your acknowledgement. And here is the third truth. Your inner world precedes your outer world. What is unseen shapes what is seen. Thoughts are not ethereal whispers, they are forces, carrying the weight of intention, sculpting reality with subtle, precise strokes. Every thought you entertain sends out ripples that touch not only your life, but the lives of those around you. When your mind is clear, your heart is open, and your routine is aligned with hope, abundance, and purpose, you radiate a frequency that calls forth the impossible. It is not about effort alone, not about grinding until the universe relents. It is about alignment, vibration, and the steady, consistent choice to live as though what you desire is already on its way. Consider the sun rising each morning. It does not labor or struggle to illuminate the earth. It simply rises consistently without fail. And with its presence, life flourishes. So too is your daily practice of positivity and belief. You do not have to fight for every result. You simply show up faithfully, radiating faith, clarity, and love. The impossible cannot resist a presence so consistent, so aligned, so determined by the quiet power of belief. Let us speak now of action. Faith without action is like a song without melody, a flame without light. Yet action taken from alignment, from inspiration, from the still knowing within, is unlike any effort born of desperation. You will know the steps to take, not because you force them into being, but because your inner wisdom, your higher self, guides you. When you live in this state, every choice, every word, every movement becomes a manifestation of the divine rhythm coursing through you. The impossible begins to move because you have become a vessel that resonates with possibility, a conduit through which the universe flows effortlessly. And so the final truth unfolds. Make this your routine. Not just when hope is convenient, not only when circumstances are favorable, but every day, in every thought, in every breath. Let your mornings be rituals of gratitude, your actions steeped in faith, your evenings filled with reflection and appreciation for the unseen working on your behalf. Consistency is the bridge between desire and fulfillment, between the impossible and the inevitable. When you integrate positivity and belief into the pattern of your life, you create an environment in which miracles are not exceptional but natural, in which impossibility is not a wall but a doorway waiting to be opened. Remember always, the universe is not punishing you, it is responding to you. Your vibration is a beacon, and what you hold inside is what comes to meet you. Even the impossible begins to manifest when you choose to align your daily routine with hope, love, and unwavering faith. Let this be your practice, let this be your commitment, and watch as the impossible bends toward you, as your reality transforms, and as the life you once only imagined begins to unfold with grace, ease, and perfect timing. Trust the unseen. Act with purpose. love without restraint, and live with the deep knowing that you are already enough, that you are already complete, and that even the impossible is moving in your direction because you have chosen to be a consistent presence of belief. The river flows, the sun rises, the seed grows, and you, magnificent being, are part of this extraordinary dance. The impossible has always been closer than you knew. All it required was for you to make positivity and belief your routine. And now, in this moment, let the knowing settle within you. Feel it in your bones, in the quiet spaces of your heart, in the calm rhythm of your breath. The impossible is here. It is waiting. And because you have chosen faith as your daily companion, it moves toward you with gentle inevitability. You are aligned. You are whole. You are enough. And the impossible, ever so quietly, is becoming your reality. And now, let us consider the quiet power of presence, the simple yet profound act of being awake in each moment. It is here, in the silence between your thoughts, in the spaces where the mind has not yet rushed to judge or measure, that you discover the true nature of your power. You are not the failures you have endured, nor the mistakes you once believed defined you. You are not the fears that whisper in the night, nor the doubts that cloud your clarity. You are the observer, the witness, the stillness behind the mind, and in that space, impossibility begins to dissolve. To exist fully in this presence is to invite miracles, for the universe responds to consciousness, to clarity, to alignment. Each breath becomes a declaration of trust, each heartbeat a pulse of divine collaboration. Do not mistake patience for passivity, nor surrender for weakness. True surrender is the most potent force in existence because it is the recognition that life itself is a living intelligence, that the universe is constantly working to orchestrate your highest good, and that your task is not to resist, but to align. When you act from this place of inner authority, your every step is guided by wisdom that transcends logic, your every word infused with resonance that shifts circumstances, your every intention a beacon calling forth what once seemed impossible. This is why routine matters, not because repetition is mundane, but because consistency in presence, in faith, and in alignment transforms your inner field, and the outer world cannot help but respond. Consider the stars. They do not compete for attention. They do not demand recognition. They simply shine steadily in their ordained positions, illuminating the night for all who are willing to look. And though each star seems small in isolation, collectively they create constellations, patterns of beauty and guidance that have inspired countless generations. So too is your daily practice of belief and positivity, a small, steady light that, when maintained, forms constellations of opportunity, guidance, and manifestation around you. What once felt impossible is revealed in time as a pattern already existing in the cosmos, waiting only for your recognition and alignment to appear. Let us speak of action inspired by faith. There is a difference between pushing against life and moving with life. The ego struggles and strains, trying to force outcomes, trying to control the uncontrollable. But when your routine is built on alignment with possibility, action becomes effortless, intuitive, and profoundly effective. You do what needs to be done, not from compulsion, but from clarity. You act not from scarcity, but from abundance. You move not from fear, but from love. And it is in these moments, these inspired actions, that the impossible begins to bend toward reality. The universe is not a passive observer. It conspires with you when you operate from your authentic self, when your routine reflects the vibration you wish to inhabit. Every challenge you face, every obstacle that appears insurmountable, is a reflection of opportunity. The impossible is rarely about circumstance. It is about perception. The walls that seem to contain you are often mirrors of your own doubts, and the key to unlocking them is consistency and faith. When you make positivity a habit, when you consciously choose hope over despair, gratitude over complaint, trust over worry, you are doing more than changing your attitude. You are changing the very quantum field in which your life unfolds. What once appeared distant or unreachable begins to move toward you with remarkable ease. This is the law of manifestation in its most elegant form. The energy you maintain daily shapes the outcomes you experience. And so, even in moments when it feels like the universe is silent, even when your desires seem far from fulfillment, do not waver. Silence is not absence, it is gestation. The unseen is preparing the conditions aligning circumstances, and orchestrating connections that your mind cannot yet comprehend. Your role is not to hurry the process, but to maintain your inner vibration, to continue the daily practice of trust, gratitude, and presence. The seed may not yet sprout above the soil, but beneath the surface, life is stirring, preparing to emerge. Imagine a violinist practicing scales for hours, day after day. The music is not perfect at first, yet the diligence, the daily repetition, cultivates mastery. Similarly, your daily alignment with faith and positivity is the practice that tunes the strings of your life. The impossible is not distant. It is merely awaiting the resonance that only your consistent vibration can provide. Each thought, each word, each act of belief is a note contributing to the symphony of manifestation. And when the moment arrives, when the seed emerges, when the river reaches the ocean, it is not by chance, it is the inevitable result of your persistent alignment with the unseen. Remember always, you are more than your circumstances, more than the obstacles in your path, more than the limitations the mind imagines. You are a being of infinite intelligence, of boundless creativity, and of limitless capacity. The universe is not indifferent to you. It responds with precision to the energy you maintain. The impossible bends, shifts, and moves because you have chosen to make belief and positivity your routine, because you have decided to embody the truth that what you hold inside is what comes to meet you. Every moment of conscious attention, every act of inspired faith, every heartbeat in alignment with your higher self is a step toward the impossible becoming reality. So, let your mornings begin with clarity, let your days unfold with intention, let your evenings close in gratitude. And in this daily rhythm, you will discover the secret that has always been present. The impossible is not only possible, it is inevitable when you live in alignment with your truth. Trust the unseen, act with inspired purpose, and make your routine a sacred ritual of positivity and faith. For it is not in extraordinary acts, but in consistent alignment that miracles are born. You are the river flowing toward the ocean. You are the seed rising through the soil. You are the sun that rises without fail. You are the presence that moves mountains, that calls forth the unseen, that manifests the impossible. And now, in this very moment, as you breathe and align in trust, you are participating in the grand orchestration of life itself. Even the impossible begins to manifest because you have made belief your routine, because you have chosen to see, to trust, and to act in harmony with the infinite intelligence that is always moving on your behalf. And now, imagine for a moment that you are standing at the edge of possibility itself. The wind of potential brushes against your skin, the light of unseen reality shimmers just beyond your vision, and you feel the heartbeat of creation pulsing in harmony with your own. It is here that you realize you are not waiting for the world to give you permission to live fully. You are not dependent on circumstance, on timing, on other people's recognition. The universe has been conspiring for you from the moment of your birth, and everything you have experienced, every joy, every heartbreak, every challenge, has been preparing you to step into this truth. You are already enough. You have always been enough. And when you accept this, truly, deeply, with every fiber of your being, even the impossible begins to bow to your presence. Consider the way a sculptor approaches a block of marble. At first, it appears impossible, solid, immovable. But with patience, vision, and deliberate action, the sculptor sees the figure within, and slowly, day by day, chip by chip, the masterpiece emerges. So too is your life. What seems impossible today, that goal, that dream, that vision, is already embedded within you. It waits only for your recognition, your routine of faith, your consistent alignment with positivity and belief to take shape in the external world. The universe is like that sculptor, responding to the intention and care you bring to your inner life. Your daily practice, your consistent vibration is the chisel shaping reality itself. And here is a subtle but profound truth. Resistance is the only thing that delays manifestation. Doubt, worry, comparison, fear, these are like shadows cast over a bright day, illusions that obscure the light that has always been yours. Every time you choose to release these, even for a moment, you allow the light of your inherent power to shine through. And when you make positivity, gratitude, and belief your routine, these shadows lose their hold, for you no longer feed them. You begin to notice doors opening where walls once stood, opportunities arriving where there was once emptiness, and guidance flowing as if the universe itself is guiding you by the hand. It is not coincidence, it is the natural consequence of alignment. Imagine now the rhythm of a drum, steady, unbroken. Each beat echoes in the air, resonating with the space around it. This is how your daily routine of faith and belief works. Each positive thought, each act of gratitude, each moment of trust is a beat in the rhythm of your life. The universe responds to rhythm, to consistency, to the vibration that you hold day after day. And slowly, imperceptibly at first, the impossible begins to move toward you. Your dreams, once distant, begin to feel tangible. Your path, once hidden, begins to unfold. And in this rhythm, you discover the profound beauty of co-creation, that you are not alone in bringing forth what you desire. The unseen intelligence that permeates all things is working with you, for you, and through you in perfect harmony. Now, consider your challenges. Every obstacle, every difficulty, every seeming failure has a hidden gift. Even the impossible carries a lesson, a nudge, a refinement. The universe does not test you to punish you. It invites you to grow, to expand, to align more fully with your highest self. When you face what seems impossible, do not shrink. Instead, let it remind you that you are being called to a higher level of faith, a deeper level of patience, and a more consistent practice of positivity. The river does not stop when it encounters a rock. It flows around it, carving a new path, learning its own resilience. And so can you when you make faith your daily practice. Picture the stars at night. They do not struggle, they do not compete, yet the night sky is ablaze with their brilliance. Their light travels for thousands of years before reaching your eyes, yet it arrives unerringly, perfectly, fulfilling its purpose. So too is your daily practice. What you do today, in thought, in word, in intention, may take time to manifest externally, but every act of faith, every routine of positivity, every moment of alignment is traveling through the unseen, preparing the conditions for the impossible to appear. Patience is not idle waiting. It is the conscious act of sustaining faith when nothing yet seems visible. And when you practice this patience daily, the impossible cannot resist. Now, breathe with me in this knowing. Every inhale draws in possibility. Every exhale releases doubt. Every heartbeat is a drumbeat in the rhythm of manifestation. You are connected to an intelligence far greater than your mind can comprehend, yet intimately aligned with your choices, your vibration, and your belief. The universe does not differentiate between small dreams and great ones. It responds to the clarity and consistency of the signal you emit. And when you live your life as a routine of faith, hope, and positivity, that signal becomes impossible to ignore. And let us speak of joy, for joy is the magnet of miracles. When you cultivate joy as a daily practice, when laughter, gratitude, and love flow freely through your days, the impossible becomes inevitable. Joy is not dependent on circumstance. It is a state of being, a vibration that cannot help but draw toward itself everything that resonates at the same frequency. When you live from joy, your actions are effortless, your decisions align, and your reality begins to conform to the vision your soul has always held. This is why routine matters, not for the sake of discipline alone, but because through routine, you sustain the vibration that invites miracles. Do not underestimate the quiet power of your own presence. You do not need to force reality to bend. You do not need to battle life with resistance. Simply live each day in alignment with your inner knowing, in harmony with positivity, in rhythm with faith, and the impossible begins to flow toward you. Your routine becomes a sacred ritual, a prayer of vibration, a declaration that you trust the unseen, that you are willing to participate consciously in the dance of life, and that you are ready to receive what has always been your rightful inheritance. The impossible has been waiting for you, not as a challenge, but as an invitation. It is drawn to those who are consistent, who hold their vibration steady, who align their thoughts, words, and actions with the highest truth of who they are. And now, as you stand fully in this knowing, as you breathe with the rhythm of the universe, as you make your daily routine a practice of faith and positivity, watch as what once seemed unreachable begins to move toward you with gentle inevitability. You are not the struggle. You are not the doubt. You are not the fear. You are the river that flows, the sun that rises, the seed that grows, the presence that shines. And even the impossible bows to the consistency, the alignment, and the faith that you cultivate every single day.